Soldiers routinely perform strenuous physical activity for training or job duties, often in warm or hot environments and while wearing uniforms and carrying equipment. These conditions can lead to exertional heat illness, or EHI. In the past decade, on average, 2 to 3 soldiers died and more than 1,000 soldiers lost duty time or were treated for non-fatal EHI each year. Even mild EHIs degrade performance and increase risk of future heat illness. Most EHIs are predictable and preventable. None should be fatal. You can help reduce EHIs by being familiar with the conditions, risk factors, and ways to prevent them. EHI is a spectrum of mild to potentially fatal conditions. If dehydration and mild EHI are caught early, severe EHI and deaths can be prevented. Key types of EHIs include heat cramps to heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Heat cramps are thought to be associated with electrolyte imbalances and/or dehydration. Symptoms include muscle cramps, pain, and spasms, usually in the arms, legs, or abdomen. If you experience heat cramps, stop your activity and seek shade to prevent more serious EHI. Heat exhaustion occurs when the body cannot keep up with the high blood flow needed for strenuous activity and sweating in the heat. Symptoms can include headache, dizziness, nausea, and muscle cramps. By catching and addressing these symptoms early, more severe EHI can be prevented. Heat injury and heat stroke are the most severe forms of EHI and occur when the body's cooling mechanism fails and can no longer manage heat. A heat injury means there has been damage to organs like the liver and kidney and muscle tissue. Without cooling or other intervention, this progresses to heat stroke, where organ damage becomes more severe and affects the central nervous system. A change in mental status is the hallmark of this EHI. Other symptoms can include convulsions, vomiting, confusion, and unconsciousness. If these symptoms occur, rapid aggressive cooling and evacuation for immediate medical treatment is essential to prevent death. Another medical emergency that is associated with EHI is hyponatremia, or water intoxication. Hyponatremia occurs when someone drinks too much water in an effort to stay hydrated and causes an imbalance in the body's electrolytes. Symptoms may include vomiting and confusion and can be fatal if not identified and treated immediately. It is important to monitor water consumption to distinguish hyponatremia from other EHIs. Regardless of severity, all EHIs require medical attention once signs and symptoms are identified. Consult Army guidance for more information on treating these EHIs. The typical heat illness casualty in the Army is a male between 18 and 24 years old with less than 1 year of service. While anyone can develop an EHI, certain groups at greater risk include personnel who have had a prior heat illness, start a new strenuous training regimen in warmer weather, especially those arriving from colder climates. Other key individual risk factors to be aware of include hydration level, poor fitness, illness, alcohol use in the past 24 hours, certain medications, high motivation. Most EHIs occur between May and September, mostly when temperatures exceed 75 degrees Fahrenheit, but Army data shows that EHI, including stroke, occur on cooler days throughout the year. In addition, overall heat exposure over the past 3 days is more likely to influence the occurrence of EHIs. Heat alone is not the only environmental factor that affects risk. The acronym HEAT is often used to highlight the 4 key variables: heat category, exertion levels, acclimation, time of exposure, and rest period. There are several things you can do to prevent EHIs. Use the wet bulb globe temperature index to adjust workload. Heat conditions are not adequately represented by the outside temperature alone. Temperature, sunlight, humidity, and wind speed all affect the heat load on the body. The Army uses the WBGT index to combine these 4 items to calculate risk categories. The 5 WBGT categories are used to determine the recommended intensity of the day's workload or type of physical training activity at a specific location. For example, when the WBGT reaches 82 degrees Fahrenheit, limit high-intensity workloads. The most important categories to watch out for include categories 4 and 5. Strenuous outdoor activities should be avoided during category 4 and 5 conditions, especially on consecutive days. Ways to modify activities include conducting physical activities like road marches or runs at dusk, night, or before sunup. Moving the location of physical activities to shadier areas, oft-paved roads, or indoors. Delaying the activities to a later date. Ensure soldiers acclimate to warmer climates and higher workloads. Personnel need time for their bodies to adjust to warmer climates and increased activity levels in order to more efficiently balance water and salt loss. Exposure to warmer weather and higher levels of exertion should be gradual and allow adequate rest periods. The amount of time needed to best acclimate depends on several factors and can range from a week to a month. Consult Army guidance to identify the amounts of time. Limit or modify physically demanding activities. Risk for EHI increases when strenuous PT, sports, or job tasks are performed over long periods of time or over multiple days. Reduce activity length, frequency, intensity, and the amount of gear used accordingly. Remember, risk is even higher when soldiers wear protective equipment or carry heavy loads. High-risk activities include basic combat training, field training exercises, and road marches over 8 kilometers. Add 5 degrees Fahrenheit to the WBGT when wearing rucksacks or body armor. Add 10 degrees Fahrenheit for full chemical protective gear. Monitor hydration status. Even in moderate weather, soldiers can become dehydrated if fluid levels are depleted from sweating during strenuous activity. Dehydration strains the body and affects a soldier's health and physical performance and can lead to more serious EHI. Just a 2% loss of body weight from dehydration may reduce performance. To prevent excessive fluid loss, follow work, rest, and water consumption guidance and track individual fluid intake by wearing knots or beads on outer garments and use urine color charts. Prevention of EHI starts with awareness of risk factors and early detection of symptoms to prevent more serious illness. Use the buddy system to monitor hydration status and keep everyone safe. For more information on heat illness, check out these resources available on the APHC website.